Mr. Olson, Mrs. Spindler, and the band, we would like to welcome you to our Veterans Day program. If you would please stand for the presentation of the flag.
grade, kindergarten, and first grade students lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Today, Tuesday, November 11th, 2025, our nation celebrates the holiday called Veterans Day. To mark this important holiday, we are pleased to honor the men and women of our armed forces with this Veterans Day program. Each and every day, countless sacrifices are made by the brave men and women in our armed forces to protect the many freedoms that each of us enjoy. Today, we salute you. Today, we are honored to have veterans among us, and many of you in this audience may have friends and family that have served or are currently serving in the armed forces. To the veterans that are here with us today, and to the families of the veterans, we thank you, and we will not forget the sacrifices that you have made for each of us. World War I officially ended on June 28, 1990, in a town of the South France. However, fighting ceased 7 months earlier when an armistice went into effect on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. In November 1919, President Woodrow Wilson proclaimed November 11th as the first commemoration of Armistice Day. If the idealist hope had been realized that World War I was the war to end all wars, November 11th might still be called Armistice Day. But in 1954, President Dwight D. Eisenhower changed the name to Veterans Day so that we may honor all veterans.
Today, we are honored to have Mr. Olson, our Superintendent of Schools, bring a word of welcome and introduce our guest speaker.
It's funny to have the word honor before my name when we're here to honor all of you, but it is my honor to be here today. And good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming and participating in our activities today. On behalf of the Novewmber School District, I want to welcome all of you to our Veterans Day program. I would first like to start with a round of applause for our 2 music directors, Mrs. Ammon and Mrs. Spindler. I was told about a week and a half ago that I participate in this. Not by them. Ms. Lehman actually sent an email to me 2 months ago. But I paid attention about a week and a half ago. Everything you're seeing today is the work of those 2 women and the classroom teachers that help alongside of it, and parents who put all of that together. So thank you to everyone who helped bring this to fruition. Veterans Day is a time to pause and reflect on the incredible sacrifices that have been made to protect our freedoms. It is also a time to express our deepest gratitude, not only to those who wore the uniform, but also the families who stood beside them. Your strength, patience, and unwavering support make service possible, and your sacrifices are deeply appreciated. To our veterans here today, thank you. Thank you for your courage, your commitment, and your example. You remind all of us, especially our students who are looking at you, what it means to live with honor, integrity, and a spirit of service greater than oneself. We are especially fortunate to have with us this morning Kenny Cameron. He is a private second class in the Army who has graciously agreed to share with us his story and reflections to this morning. Please give a warm Wilmot welcome to Kenny Cameron.
to Fort Riley, Kansas for basic training. First thing that happened in the morning, 6 o'clock, out of bed, make your bed, shine your boots, fall out in the company area, and the first sergeant would come out of the orderly room and he'd say, "Good morning, men." And if he got a good morning like I just got, he'd make us do push-ups. He'd do 25 push-ups, and then he'd stand up and say, "Now, well, good morning." And he said, "I better hear it." So you guys can't get up and do push-ups, most of you, some of you could. But I'm going to give you a second chance. When I say good morning, I want to hear it. Good morning. Good morning. Now that's a good morning. Welcome to Veterans Day. Well, I'm here by duress. Our commander had a good speaker lined up, and the guy called and said, "I can't come." So he said, "I'm kind of in a bind. You know, I've asked everybody I can think of." He said, "I even got down to you." And I said, "No, I can't do this. I'm not a public speaker. I get up. Somebody asked me if I had a message all printed up. I said, no, I'll think of something when I get up there." But anyway, I thought about it, and I said, "No, I can't do that. You know, stand up in front of a few people, but 200 people is scary. And you know, you're all wondering what's he going to say, how many mistakes am I going to make, and I might make a couple of them. But the more I thought about it, I thought, well, maybe I will. But Roger, I tell you, I feel like a businessman who his boss was flying in from Chicago to check on him, see how well he was running his business. And he said, "I'll be at the airport at 2:30, and I want you to pick me up right at 2:30. He said, "I don't want to have to pay a rental car." I think it was Scotch, probably. And he said, "You pick me up right at 2:30. So the kid thought, "Man, I don't have a decent-looking car to pick up the boss." He said, "No car I can." Well, he said, I'll call the rentals. Tell them to send me something pretty special, something that looks pretty good and impress the boss." So he said, "Have it here at 2 o'clock sharp. I got to pick up the boss." Well, 2 o'clock he heard the guy knock on the door, and he went out and looked, and he said, "What in the world did you bring me?" There sat an old 1931 Model A, that's the year I was born, in fact. And he said, "What kind of a thing is this?" He said, "Well, it's the only thing available today, so you'll have to use it." So here I am. So after Roger, I said, "No, I won't do that." And then I got to thinking about it, how lucky I am to be here to celebrate Veterans Day. Because we had thousands of young men that went away to war and never came back. And I felt pretty fortunate. I thought that every veteran that was here this morning, whether you're a legionnaire or just a veteran, you thank God that you got back, came back, all in one piece. You know, I watched the news the other night, and I saw all of these fellas that lost arms, lost legs, some were blind, some were confined to a wheelchair the rest of their life, and some were right down in bed and never moved yet. And I thought, how lucky I am to be able to go serve my time in Korea and come home and be here this morning. And so I'm pretty thankful for that, and I know every veteran that's here is thankful. And then I heard on the news the other night that every day 18 veterans take their life. You know, if you were facing the rest of your life sitting in a wheelchair or no legs or no arms, you can understand that, it's just it's pretty hard to face the reality of life. So anyway, I thought of those things, and I thought, well, I thought about the guys from our little community here that went away and never came back. And of course, there was 5 of them, 6 of them that come to my mind right away. And the first one was Donald Sorbo. Our post is named after Donald. He, good kid, good student. We were in high school, same time, he was a year or so ahead of me. But Cynthia was pretty serious about the things he did. Good worker. He'd get out of school at 4 o'clock, run right down to the gas station to help his dad at Sorbo Station that sat right down there where that little antique shop is now. But anyway, I want you kids to catch that. He ran down there. Down in 1939 and 40, there wasn't hardly anybody had a car. We ran and walked most of the time. I drove a horse to school for 3.5 miles. But I drove in this morning, I looked at all of the cars in this lot. You got cars better than I'm good. And there's nothing wrong with that. We can be thankful that we live in America where we have the privilege of having a car. You know, there are kids, excuse me, there are kids your age that would give anything for one good square meal, let alone own a car. But that's the blessing of living in America, in the land of the free. So there's nothing wrong with having a good car. And it's a blessing that we all enjoy. But anyway, I thought of Don. He went away to serve his country. He never got a chance. He was killed the same day he landed. And he never come back again. Then I thought of Walter Renner, a real good friend of mine. Walt and I ate our dinner together every day. That's back before hot lunch party. We brought our little sack lunch along. He and I would go out and sit on the south side of the old school on top of the fuel barrel and have our dinner. And Walt was a really good student, a real hard worker. He would take off after school at 4 o'clock, and I can see him in my mind's eye to take off on a dead run 2 miles south of Wilmot to the Reynolds farm. Every day he'd do the same thing, run home, help his dad with chores. When Walt went away, only to be shot down over Laos in 1926, and he was enlisted in missing in action for 9 years. The family didn't know if he was a prisoner of war or if he had lost his life. But in June of this year, through positive identification of DNA, they found Walt Reynolds. So the family finally had closure over Walt's life. And then Lorne Freeman. Lawrence and I were good friends. We went to country school together, we went to high school together, played basketball together, and we had a lot of fun together as kids. The little school up there on block south of Main Street is where we went to country school, and then moved it into Wilmot. But anyway, Lorne went away to fight for our freedom, got shot down, never came home. So every one of us that are here this morning, I should be thankful that we're here. And then there's Joe Swayze. Joe Swayze, a real nice young fella, who went away to serve our country. Same story. Shot down, never got to come home again. And then Ronnie Ryle. I don't know very few of you remember Ronnie Ryle. I know Delvin does. But same story. Went away to fight, got killed in action, never come home. And then there's one fellow that I remember when I was just a kid that worked for us, and I can't remember his first name, but he was a Hopkins. We called him Dutch, and some of you probably could help me out with his name afterwards. But he was killed in action. That's the first one I remember as a kid. But anyway, what a blessing it is to be here this morning, to enjoy this day of freedom. I read a little article, and some of you probably have seen it, that World War I, known at the time the Great War, officially ended when the Treaty of Versailles was signed June 28, 1919, in Ocellus, outside of the town of Versailles. USA was France. However, fighting ceased 7 months earlier when an armistice or temporary cessation of hostilities between the Allied nations and Germany went into effect on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. For that reason, November 11, 1918, was generally regarded as the end to end all wars. Well, we know that didn't end all wars because we've had war ever since then. We got war right now over in Russia and Ukraine, over in Israel, fighting with Hamas. And so we know that there's going to be wars. But you know, this is a Christian community. We got 5 churches in a little town of less than 600. We all worship the same God. We all have the same Bible. And if you want to know when the war to end all wars will take place, take the book of Revelation, and it'll tell you the battle of Armageddon. And that will be the last war that ever fought. So don't take my word for it. Go home and get your Bible and read it. You'll see it. It's fact. Anyway, Veterans Day continues to be observed on November 11th, regardless of what day of the week and on which it falls. The restoration of the observance of Veterans Day on November 11th not only preserves the historical significance of the day, but helps focus attention on the important purpose of Veterans Day, a celebration to honor American veterans for their patriotism, love of country, and willingness to serve and sacrifice to the common good. And I think all of us as veterans, I talked to my buddy who was in Korea with me night before last. We called back and forth at least once or twice a week. And he said, you know, I didn't want to go when I got called, but he said, I wouldn't give you anything for that experience. I'm so thankful. There's 2 years that we had over in Korea. And there's a little article that I joined the Legion back in 1956. Well, I tried to join it. At that point, there was dates. You had to serve certain dates. I don't remember. Maybe probably Roger does. But anyway, it was a couple of years later that they come out and said, well, they changed the dates. Everybody that served in armed services was eligible to belong to the veteran, to join the Legion. So I joined, it'll be 50 years this fall that I've been a member of the Legion. Not that I come to every meeting, Rod, so testify to that. I did have them. And I'm not lucky enough to have it be on the internet, so he posts notice for the meeting, and well, I don't get it. But anyway, I've done that for a while. But every chance that I've had since I became a Legionnaire was to read this little article, Freedom is Not Free. You've heard it before, you're going to hear it again, because it really is very, very important. I watched the flag pass by one day. It fluttered in the breeze. A young veteran saluted it, and then he stood at ease. I looked at him in uniform, so young, so tall, so proud, with hair cut square and eyes alert. He'd stand out in any crowd. I thought how many men like him had fallen through the years, how many died on foreign fields, how many mothers' tears, how many pilots, planes shot down, how many died at sea, how many foxholes were soldiers' graves. No, freedom is not free. I heard the sound of taps one night when everything was still. I listened to the bugler play until the sudden chill. I wondered just how many times that taps had meant amen when a flag had draped a coffin of a brother or a friend. I thought of all the children, all the mothers and the wives, of fathers and husbands with interrupted lives. I thought about a graveyard at the bottom of the sea, of unmarked graves in Arlington. No, freedom is not free, author unknown. But that is remarks. Just say, God bless everyone and God bless America.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Cameron. We are all inspired by your service to our country. Throughout this nation's history, America's soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guardsmen have bravely answered the call to defend our freedom, to aid our friends and allies, and to turn back aggression. We can never fully repay our debt of gratitude to the American service members who died in battle or were wounded. We can, however, recognize and thank the veterans still living today. We would like to take this opportunity to introduce the friends and family members of our school community who have so valiantly protected our freedoms through their service in the American Armed Forces. As I say your name, please stand. National Guard, Delvin Hansen. Christopher Madsen. John Madsen. Amber Metz. Delton Strasser. Harold Dayton. And Tracy Rocky. United States Army. Kenneth Cameron. Max Bieber. Guylis Johnson. Jerome Metz. Robert Schliessman. Mickey Swayze. And Alicia Willis. For the Air Force, Roger Butler. Randy Casey. Aaron Locke. And Percy Shanley Jr. For the Coast Guard, Bob Rennie. Navy, Michael Saraki. Marines, Robert Apple. Ray DeGriff. And Kyle Vegan. If there's anyone else we missed, please stand. Thank you.
have on Bluetooth and airplane mode at the same time.
When America had an urgent need, these brave ones raised their hand. No hesitation held them back. They were proud to take a stand. They left their friends and family. They gave up normal life to serve their country. They plowed into the strife. They fought for freedom and for peace on strange and foreign shores. Some lost few friends, some lost their lives in long and brutal wars. Other destruction stands in their houses of destruction and people. Their country has been foreign with eternal scope to God. This Veterans Day, we salute each and every one of them, the noble and the brave, the ones still here with us today, and those who rest in the grave. So here's to our country's heroes. They are cut above the rest. Let us give the honor that is due to our country's very best.
As you hear your song for your branch of the military, please stand so we can again honor you.
congregation members, parents, and families. Thank you to our superintendent. Thank you to our elementary, secondary, and schools. Thank you to our honored guests and keynote speakers, Mr. Clement. Thank you to all the students and the teachers who are involved in today's program. We would especially like to thank our veterans for being here today. If you are a veteran of the armed forces, could you please stand one more time so that we may recognize you again? All of our guests and honored veterans are invited to a special reception following today's program in the gym lobby. Our FFA would like to honor you with a treat and some coffee. Once again, on behalf of our entire school community, we thank you for being here today and we thank you for the service to our country. Please rise as the colors are retired for this program.
I did have a quick note sent to me as someone walked in the door. A quick reminder that the community meal this Thursday, November 13th, is scalloped potatoes and ham, coleslaw, buns, and dessert, and is provided by the Wilmot American Legion Auxiliaries. So all proceeds go to serve and care for our veterans. See you on Thursday.